Welcome to Americans. I'm your host, Roberto Lobato. Today we're in Anaheim, California, home to Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Anaheim is also home to spectacular demographic and political changes that are changing not just Anaheim, but the entire state and soon the entire country. Consider, for example, how a once white majority city is now 53% Latino, a Latino majority city with only 27% of the population being white. These changes have caused sometimes violent conflict, but they've also inspired enormous hope among the city's poor majority. Anaheim is contrast. Anaheim is conflict. Anaheim is inequality. And Anaheim is where the past is fighting with the future to determine the present of us all. Disney has invested millions of dollars to attract the country's 55 million Latinos. And those efforts seem to be paying off. Latino visits to Disneyland have increased by more than 150% in just the past 3 years. And this trend is likely to continue, especially as Latinos surpass whites as the largest single ethnic group in California. Gabriel San Roman is a lifetime Anaheim resident and a journalist with the Orange County Weekly. So tell me, Gabriel, we're here in Anaheim in front of Disney, which is spending millions of dollars to reach Latinos in the United States now. What's going on? Why are they doing this?
We're in a new era because they wouldn't do this decades ago because they didn't have to. So Disneyland, like any other corporation, is realizing that there's a Latino market and Southern California is becoming very, very Latino, very brown. So they're reacting to that by Spanish language advertising and even trying to almost have a Latina character with Princess Sofia.
What does Disney mean to the local community? Because I think it's one thing what we see in the Latino community nationally, and it's another story what you all see here locally.
The Latino community locally,
yeah,
it's a changing conversation because of the uprising and unrest 2 summers ago in 2012. So there's a lot more animosity towards Disneyland and questioning its role with the Latino community because of the police shootings that happened and the uprising and the long-standing grievances of the Latino community here in Anaheim. And some families who work here in the resort area, make it run, can't even afford to keep up with the rising prices.
And so what happened in the case of Don Acevedo?
Don Acevedo's son, Joel Acevedo, was the second young man killed in a weekend of back-to-back shootings, which these tourists will never ever understand is just around the block. And so there was a police chase. There's 2 versions. One is that he shot at the officer first and that the officer returned fire and killed. And there was another version by a witness in the car who said he was executed. Of course, he was found to be justified, and those 2 versions go on and are illustrative of the 2 Anaheims that exist.
We went to speak to Don Acevedo in the neighborhood where her son Joel was shot.
This is the street where my son was pursued by police officers. He was in the car with 2 of his friends, and I'll show you where it was where he was shot and killed.
Okay, let's go.
The police were following my son. He was a passenger in the car with 2 other people. When she turned the corner, lost control of the vehicle, went up the curb, and the vehicle it stopped and up on this empty lot.
Right here?
Yes. When I first got to the scene, I asked what happened. They told me that a gun was found in the car and that someone had shot at the police. But then later on, like the next day or the days after, I was told that they shot at my son because he shot at them. But when I first talked to them, they said the gun was in the car. So how did the gun get from the car to over here?
Here?
Yes.
The police here are been pretty controversial for a while, right? Like you were telling me that after they shot and killed your son, they were still harassing you afterward? What happened?
The day after, they came to my home and they demanded to know who my other children were. They wanted me to bring them out. When I asked them why they were there, they said that they were just driving by and they thought they heard a party. But it was, we were inside the house. It was our family and friends, and they just came to harass us and intimidate me. I felt like they were trying to scare me.
Why were they trying to scare you?
That's what I didn't understand at first. When I asked the officer his name, he looked at me and he said his name was Officer Killing.
Killing?
Killing.
And what do the police have to do with Disneyland in this case, in your view?
Well, I think the police association has a lot to do with it, because they have a lot of money and power, and I think they're there for Disney and not for the people.
Lucille Kring is one of 4 Republican council members in Anaheim and maybe the city's next mayor.
I disagree with Donna. I mean, she comes to council a lot. I know she's planning on running for council. And I've never had a one-on-one conversation with Donna. I wasn't here when her son was shot. And I just don't believe that the police department is racist. But what I saw is police doing their job. I mean, not everybody that gets shot is an angel. So pulling a gun on a police officer is not going to be a good day. And it's probably not going to be a great result.
So how many people are Latino on the city council?
Currently now, none.
None. And what if that continues because of at-large elections?
Well, we've had 4 Hispanics elected to city council in the numbers of years since the 90s, and that's out of 157 years.
Isn't that a good thing, that Latinos would have more power, representation, and concomitant with their numbers?
Well, I don't think so.
I haven't seen it.
Where's the city first? You went to the city council, and then take us on how did you go from going to visit the city council to demand justice to running for city council now?
Just going to the council meetings every week or every 2 weeks or every one they had. I've only missed a few since my son was killed, and I started seeing all the issues that were brought before them, and I realized all the resources were are being funneled away from the communities.
From the Latino communities?
Yes. And everything's about Disneyland and the big corporations, their friends, and it just I started learning more, and it made me mad. And I realized, just protesting isn't going to change anything. I feel like I need to be involved.